Good day to the folks in Fundy. I'm back. I'm grateful for Rogers for putting me on again. In case anybody didn't know, the Fundy Royal debate was the most watched debate in Canada. And in honor of Jim Traffickin, I got to do a 3-minute speech. As Bill Clinton said, it's the economy, stupid. So let's do what old R.B. Bennett did, and he came from this riding, and he was our accidental prime minister in the dirty 30s. Let me solve our economy in New Brunswick. It will work in our jurisdiction and others. Actuaries have an expression about shortfall. Right now, we are in debt to the tune of $12, $13 billion, which coincidentally is the same amount of money that's being played with by Mr. Sinclair and Vestcor on behalf of the teachers and union people and bureaucrats working for the government. I suggest we do like Mr. Bennett did, honor the commitments to the pensioners, never mind this plan that Mr. Higgs come up with, the Dutch plan, what do they call it, shared risk. Honor the commitment. The amount of people working right now for the government, their money going towards their pension, and the amount of money going out to the pensioners now collecting. The shortfall between the in and the out is about 70 million. That's about 1/10 of what we pay the bankers' interest on our provincial debt. I propose that we invest in ourselves, take the teachers' pension money, stop the lawsuits where they're suing about this, honor our commitment to them, pay down our debt in full with their money, and then out of our general funds, keep paying their pension. 70 million shortfall is a lot cheaper than 700 million in interest. What would work in our jurisdiction would work in many jurisdictions, and the only people that would suffer would be bankers such as Frank McKenna, and ask me if I care. Thank you very much for your time. A shout out to my friend Roger Richard, who's debating tonight up in Kent North, and my friend Carolyn McDonald of the KISS Party. I hope she gets to speak here too. Thank you very much, Rogers. And if you think I'm joking, Google David Amos, federal court. If the people that are worried about wood and dairy farmers are concerned about NAFTA, Google Trump, Cohen, David Amos, NAFTA, TPP, and enjoy surfing the net. Anybody has any questions? Pick up the phone and call me. I'm not a shy man. Thank you very much, Rogers.
Hello, my name is Jim Bedford. I'm the People's Alliance candidate for Sussex, Fundy, and St. Martin's. Over the last few months, I've been going door to door to meet the people in my riding, and I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm listening to what they have to say, their concerns, their frustrations, and the people that I speak to believe that it's time for a change. I believe the People's Alliance is the party that will offer that change. It's a party that will bring the voice of the people back to the legislature, will let the MLAs represent the people in our riding. Some of the areas that we want to look at, putting money back into the people's pocket. We'd like to eliminate the sales tax on privately used vehicles. We would like to enact the proper language and culture policies to promote fairness, equality, and harmony within the people of New Brunswick. We would ban the spraying of herbicides on Crown land. We would stop the millions of dollars that go to corporate interests annually and make industry pay fair and reasonable taxes. We would end the duality in healthcare, school bus systems, saving millions of dollars annually. On September the 24th, I hope you will join me in voting for the People's Alliance, the party of the people, and vote for the People's Alliance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bruce Northrop. I'm the PC candidate for the riding of Sussex-Fundy-St. Martin's. certainly enjoyed my last 12 years as being the MLA, 8 years in the King's East riding, and now the last 4 years in Sussex-Fundy-St. Martins. I'm a little bit of history on myself. I'm from the Sussex area. I've lived here all my life. I've been married for 32 years and have 2 adult children. One is married with our first grandchild about 5 months ago. So I know the area very, very well, and I'm certainly happy to be the MLA for the last 12 years, and I'm asking the people for their vote on September 24th so that I can keep up my job as the MLA and be part of the team. And when I say be part of the team, I mean be part of the team Higgs's team. We've assembled 49 great candidates for our PC party here in the province of New Brunswick, and we value a lot of the things that are going on in New Brunswick. And one of the proudest moments was the day before yesterday when I witnessed in Moncton our leader Blaine Higgs giving our platform out. And it's a very simple platform. I urge everybody in Sussex-Fundy-St. Martins and the province of New Brunswick to look at our platform. It's a very simple platform, but we cannot afford another 4 years of the Brian Gallant reckless spending and lack of action. We need to create jobs, and one of my main things is to get our salt mine and potash mine back up and running. I truly believe that we have the best salt in the world here in New Brunswick, and we need it on our roads, if not this winter, the following winter for sure. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that the mines reopen, and also that we support supply management with our farmers. Our farmers, we're in the dairy center of the Maritimes, and we certainly support the farmers in the area and certainly support supply management. They work very hard 365 days of the year, and we as the PC party support it very well. And another thing that we want to support and keep intact is our covered bridges. We have approximately 50-some covered bridges in the province of New Brunswick, and we want to keep them here. So I ask for your support so that we can get New Brunswick back on track with Premier Blaine Higgs and his PC team here in Sussex-Fundy-St. Martins. Thank you very much for your time.
My name is Gary Crosby, candidate for the Progressive Conservative Party of New Brunswick, Hampton riding. It has been an honor to serve this riding for the last 4 years, and I've worked hard to represent the entire riding regarding issues and concerns. And just for your information, the provincial electoral boundaries for the Hampton riding include Barnesville, Baxter's Corner, Damascus, Darling's Island, French Village, Garnet Settlement, Hampton, Hunter Lake, Keller's Hill, Miss Peck, Newidgewok, Old Black River Road, Passakeg Hall Road and area, Quispamsis Model Farm Road and area, Redhead, Smithtowns, Titusville, Willow Grove, and all points in between. Who is Gary Crosby? Gary Crosby has proven leadership and integrity. Gary Crosby is committed to working hard to represent individual and community needs. Gary Crosby is qualified and experienced. Gary Crosby has worked tirelessly as your MLA for the past 4 years, and his, which is mine, priorities have not changed over these 4 years. 1, senior care, ensuring that our seniors live in their homes as long as they're safe and comfortable. This has remained one of my top priorities for the last 4 years, and it continues. Job creation, creating reasonable paying employment opportunities close to home, creating support for business to succeed and survive, including removing unnecessary roadblocks. Sport and recreation, I fully support the proposed Hampton Regional Multipurpose Facility. Plans for this new facility have been in place and long overdue without the present support of the present provincial and federal governments. Health and doctor recruitment, ensuring all residents have access to a family physician and or nurse practitioner. Our platform released yesterday includes this plan to ensure it happens. Safe roads, Darling's Island Road upgrade, brush cutting and yellow lines are a priority for our riding. I'd also like to note that I received very few phone calls to my office from residents in Hampton, Quispamsis, and St. John due to the fact the municipalities here take good care of these concerns. Preserving our history, working with all levels of government to preserve our historic landmarks, including covered bridges. St. John White Paper, I'll continue to work together with all municipalities to help them succeed with budget items. Regarding amalgamation of outlying areas, I am hearing communities are willing to work in collaboration on a go-forward basis. However, they do not wish to take on historical debt. How do I, as an MLA, reach out to the entire riding? For the last 4 years, I've reached out through a yearly mail-out regarding our office hours. I've advertised through a local newspaper, and I also have a reach of over 3,700 people on Facebook, which people keep up to date on what's going on. Also pushing for safe water protection, which is important for our rivers and parks, and we must have a safe plan for everyone. Our platform, recently released, says that we cannot afford 4 more years of Brian Gallant's reckless spending and lack of action. We need real experience, real results. New Brunswick needs Team Higgs. A few of the bullet points in the platform include healing healthcare. Our commitment to you is we will reduce wait times for knee replacement, hip replacement, and gynecological surgeries by 50%. Energizing education. Our commitment is we must achieve our 85% grade 2 literacy target by 2022 by putting teachers back in control in the classroom. Growing our economy. Commitment, no new taxes, we will fight the carbon tax. Making government work. Commitment, we will treat taxpayers like customers, and we will put the province before politics. Strong communities, big dreams. Our commitment, support seniors who want to stay at home by ensuring they have care they need from trained home professionals. Since being elected 4 years ago, I've worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for you. On September 24th, I humbly ask for your vote to continue the same service for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carly Parrish, the Liberal candidate for our Hampton riding. Bonjour, mon nom est Carly Parrish, puis je suis la candidate pour les libérales dans notre circonscription de Hampton. Our riding starts in Redhead. It goes from Redhead, Mispeck, St. John to Quispamsis and French Village. It includes Upper Golden Grove, Baxter's Corner, Willow Grove, Garnet Settlement, Raleigh, Darlene's Island, Hampton, and the surrounding areas. When I was nominated on June 7th of this year, I started knocking on doors. Since then, Team Parrish has knocked on over 7,500 doors in our riding, some of which we've knocked on twice. Why? Because I get things done. I have been to all parts of our riding. I have listened to our constituents in Redhead. I understand some people are upset about being part of this particular riding. However, if elected, I will work hard to make sure that we're on par and that we get things done in Redhead, Hampton, all parts of our riding. I have listened to residents in Upper Golden Grove. Within 30 days of being there, there was a yellow line on the main street in Upper Golden Grove. Why? Because I get things done. I made a phone call. My first stop on the campaign trail was Darlene's Island. The road has to get done. I told you I would bring the Minister of Transportation to meet with the residents of Darlene's Island. I did that. I helped organize an open house. He attended, and he made it clear that the plan is there, the road can be done, and it's in the budget. We just need to move forward, and it can start. If I'm elected, I will ensure the road to Darlene's Island gets done. In Hampton, I have listened to everyone's concerns. Infrastructure, jobs. I'm a small business owner in Hampton. I run a local law firm. I understand from our residents that the proposed Hampton multifunctional facility is important. Last month, our law firm raised over $15,000 to help this facility get built. On my watch, it will get built. You ask, vous demandez, pourquoi moi je supporte notre Premier Ministre, Brian Gallant? You ask why I support our Premier, Brian Gallant, and the Liberal Party? Well, I'll tell you, as a small business owner, in the last 4 years, they've already raised minimum wage. They've promised to raise minimum wage again, and so that in 2022, it will be at $14 an hour. They have created jobs. In the last 4 years, they have brought 90 new doctors to New Brunswick. They have committed to helping our seniors stay longer in their houses, which is extremely important and especially important in our riding. They have committed to trade schools. Already in Hampton, there's a trade school which our government has worked hand in hand with through our Department of Education. That trade school just opened in our Hampton High School this September 2018. You ask why or what else we can do or why we should support the Liberals? Because again, they're creating jobs. In the last 4 years, our economy has increased. Jobs in this province has increased. And as I said in my speech when I was named as a Liberal candidate, my goal is to keep people's children here and their grandchildren here. So why do I ask for your support on September 24th? It's because I want your help to help me get things done in our riding. For once, it's time that we're on par with the government in power. Nothing has been done on Darlene's Island to that road in the last 20 years. When I held the meeting and organized the meeting, that is more progress than has ever been made before. The polls right now, and they're going to continue to say this, the polls say there's a Liberal majority. So why would we want to be in the minority? On September 24th, please elect our Liberal government and myself as your MLA. Make it a priority. Thank you.
Welcome. As we all know, New Brunswick desperately needs change, radical change. Change that compels new approaches to old problems and invites bold new ideas. My name is Leighton Peck, and I am running as a candidate for the New Democratic Party in the riding of Hampton to effect that change. As I travel throughout the riding, I observe that many people are struggling, whether holding down 2 jobs trying to make ends meet, dealing with the social impact of poverty, suffering long waits for health care, or being exhausted from caring for loved ones because of shortages in nursing homes. People are hurting. They are hurting as their children leave the province, and they bear witness to the environment in decline. This will all affect this election. And we in the New Democratic Party want every New Brunswick voter to stand up and be counted. I feel that New Brunswick workers, like me, have the skills and experience to effectively make change in New Brunswick. I want the opportunity to represent the interests of the people of Hampton, and that is why I have decided to run for office, because I feel my neighbors and I deserve better than the current representation we are getting. New Brunswick needs to fight for its workers. An NDP government would increase the minimum wage by $1 a year over the next 4 years until it reaches $15 an hour. A $15 an hour minimum wage affords people an income that allows them to live and thrive in the province. Commensurate with this, we would also look for changes to the labor code that would do things like eliminate split shifts and reduce non-paid callbacks. We are running for families here in the New Democratic Party. We will introduce a family-focused before and after school care program to keep children in their communities all day with care right at their schools from 6 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m. We want to help our youth with post-secondary education. To build a brighter future in New Brunswick, in our first year in government, the New Brunswick NDP will implement the following measures. We will eliminate tuition fees at NBCC, CCNB, community colleges. We will reduce undergraduate tuition for all New Brunswick publicly funded universities by 25%. We will eliminate interest charges on all existing and future student loans for New Brunswick residents. And I also feel that I must do something tangible to combat climate change and preserve our natural environment. A new Democratic government would set a target of at least 17% of our land for conservation and end glyphosate spraying. The NDP would develop regulations to prevent the stripping of agricultural land for residential purposes, and our government will introduce a carbon reduction fund to help the province transition to green energy through the introduction of a $30 per ton carbon reduction. So I am running for you, for seniors, so that we may invest in home care, for families, for daycare, and for workers, for a better workplace and a better wage. So in Hampton, let's all get out and vote. Vote to bring about that change that I urge you to bring, and vote NDP to make New Brunswick the fairest, the greenest, and the most prosperous province in Canada. On September 24th in Hampton, vote Leighton Peck, NDP. Thank you.
I'm John Sabin, your Green Party candidate for the riding of Hampton. A little bit about myself. I'm a small business owner and a hobby farmer after retiring from a career in policing. I've always been an active community member and was awarded the Queen's Jubilee Medal for that community service and continue to stay very active in many organizations. As I've been going door to door through this campaign, it is obvious that most people just are not happy with the state of the province of New Brunswick. Doesn't make any difference the issue, whether that be health care, the debt, education, or roads. So what would a Green government do? A Green government would remove the cap on billing numbers for doctors so they could practice where there is a demand for their services. We would create 40 new nurse practitioner positions and allow them and pharmacists to bill Medicare for health services, reducing wait times in our emergency rooms. We would add 8 new community health centers with teams of healthcare professionals from all disciplines. We would live within our financial means. We would remove the industrial property tax exemption for crude oil storage tanks and add industrial and machinery equipment to taxable property so that everybody pays their fair share. We would increase the royalty rates on renewable and non-renewable resources to capture their full economic value. Other issues that come up at the door are secrecy around contracts with private companies like the forestry deal and Medavie. A Green government would enact legislation immediately to cancel the 25-year contracts with forestry companies signed by the Alward government and retained by the Glant government. We would put back in the Crown Lands and Forests Act. The private woodlot owners would be the primary source of supply to mills to ensure fair access to wood markets in New Brunswick. We would cancel a contract with the private company Medavie and return extramural health services back to the health authorities. We would place our ambulance services under the public management and have a public inquiry into how those services can be approved. We all know what 50 years of majority Liberals and Conservative governments has got us. The question is, how do we get out of this mess? Well, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So I'm asking and looking for your trust and support so together we can make real and positive change for a better future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ryan Jukes. I am a full-time Tim Hortons baker. I am a full-time political enthusiast, and I am running for the New Brunswick New Democratic Party in the riding of Quispamsis. As a working person in the food service industry, I work for the minimum wage. I support increasing the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 per hour. If elected, if honored to serve the people of Quispamsis in the legislature in Fredericton, I commit to turning down a government salary and continue working for the minimum wage. I am not getting into politics to make a personal fortune for myself. I am getting into politics and running for the NDP because I want to do the right thing. There are steps that politicians can take right now to help balance the government's budget, just like there are steps that politicians can take right now to help New Brunswickers at home balance their household budgets. Steps like tuition-free college and affordable university for students. Steps like $15 per day childcare for parents. Steps like improving long-term care for seniors. Steps like action on climate change. As an openly gay man, I'm used to showing my pride and fighting for change. In this election, I'm advocating that New Brunswickers show their pride in New Brunswick and fight for change by voting. My name is Ryan Jukes, and I'm running for the New Brunswick New Democratic Party in the riding of Quispamsis. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for voting.
Hello, I'm Erin Kennedy, the Liberal candidate in the riding of Quispamsis. I appreciate this opportunity from Rogers TV to talk to you about the future of our riding and the future of our province. I've lived in Quispamsis with my family for more than 20 years. I'm currently the manager of communications for the town of Quispamsis, and I have previous government experience. I served as the Member of Parliament's executive assistant from 2004 to 2006 when we brought great investments to Quispamsis, such as federal funding for the Arts and Culture Park. From 2006 until 2010, I was the executive assistant for the provincial cabinet minister Mary Scryer, who served in a number of portfolios such as health, seniors, housing, and social development. During her time as our MLA, there were more significant Liberal investments in Quispamsis, such as funding for the Qplex, funding for affordable housing for seniors at the United Church Suites on Hampton Road, and we also brought Shannex to Quispamsis during that time. Shannex is a great corporate partner. They have provided financial assistance and investments for the Qplex facility as well, and they're one of the largest private sector employers in our community. I look at the job of an MLA with three components. One is being a legislator, and that's the role of the MLA in Fredericton and passing laws and budgets and making sure that things are in place from a provincial point of view. But the other two jobs that I think are equally, if not more important, are the role of an advocate and champion. As an advocate, your responsibility is to help people who are in need, perhaps navigating through the provincial government system. Perhaps they require affordable housing. Perhaps they've had problems with their student loan in the past, and they just need someone to talk to who can provide them that guidance. I think that's a very important role that an MLA plays on behalf of his or her constituents. And the third, and perhaps the most important role of being an MLA, is to be a champion for your local community. And there are so many initiatives that we require in Quispamsis, and you need an MLA on your behalf who is willing to work for you to have your voice heard in Fredericton. For instance, when the municipal government comes to you and says we need some improvements with the intersection of Squire Drive and the Gondola Point Arterial, I think it's important that the local MLA act as a champion on your behalf. That hasn't been the case for the last 8 years. Mayor Gary Clark has been quite clear that that's been a priority of his. But yet the Squire Drive Gondola Point Arterial remains unchanged. It's dangerous. It affects thousands of residents on both sides of the Gondola Point Arterial, and we are going to fix that by working together with me as your MLA in a Liberal government under Brian Gallant. I'm not sure exactly what needs to happen there. Perhaps it's a roundabout, perhaps it's traffic lights, perhaps it's reduced speed limits, but I've committed that within 6 months of my election as your MLA, we will have the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure in Quispamsis for a community meeting, and we will discuss ways to fix that by working together. Part of my background as well in Quispamsis has been working On your behalf, as a volunteer, I was the chair of the host committee for the 2016 TELUS Cup, which generated a then record $175,000 for our community. And I'm also chair of the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge that's coming to St. John and Quispamsis in November. And all of these great initiatives that we brought to our community, including the Canada 55+ Games, Rogers Hometown Hockey, and Les Jeux de l'Acadie in the year 2020, are all because we work together as a team. And I think that's an important aspect of our community spirit. Quispamsis folks always are willing to come together and lend a hand, whether it's on a great community initiative like these hockey tournaments, national and international hockey tournaments that we're bringing to town, or perhaps it was what we saw this past spring, the worst flooding in the history of our town, and our community rallied together to help one another in a time of need. Provincially, I believe the Liberal government under Brian Gallant is going to get re-elected. I think the last 4 years have been tremendous in terms of moving our province forward, and I think there's more to be done. And the Liberal government has committed under its re-election plans to freeze MB power rates for the next 4 years, to increase the free tuition program so that it is eligible for folks who have a family income of less than $70,000 as opposed to $60,000, and that's going to open the doors for so many people in our riding of Quispamsis. I do sincerely believe that the Liberal government is going to be re-elected, and I humbly and respectfully ask for your support and your vote on September 24th to ensure that we have an MLA on the Liberal government side of the House. My name is Erin Kennedy. I'm your Liberal candidate in Quispamsis. I thank you very much for watching, and I thank you for your support.
Good day. My name is Josh Floyd, and I am your NDP candidate for Rothesay this election. I am running because I believe that we deserve better representation, and I want to be a voice for the most vulnerable in our community. I decided to get involved in politics when my local MLA resigned 22 days after being elected after the last election in 2014. This is just one example of how we need change and new people and new parties to represent us. Every day I'm hearing from people in Rothesay that we need a change. We've all watched food prices, rent, and cost of living go up and wages stagnating. Life seems to only be getting harder. I am hearing about declining opportunities in our region, and there's not enough being done to resolve this. The lack of opportunities is causing many young people to move from our region, and the Liberal government subsidizing Sears call centers was not the answer to fixing this decline. I have lived in the St. John region for most of my life, and I am passionate about progressive change for New Brunswick. I work in the customer service and tourism fields, having completed my certification at NBCC. In addition, my many years of volunteering in politics, I was involved with several events within the region, such as the most recent Quebec Hockey League draft when it was held in St. John, as well as the Fundy-The-Isles-Saint Music Festival. Something that I am passionate about is the growing tourism industry in New Brunswick, and I believe that it is one of the keys to the future success of our region. If I am elected as the next MLA for Rothesay, I pledge to be a community-focused MLA and to make economic growth a top priority and constituency services. I am running for the NDP because I believe in our leader, Jennifer McKenzie, has a great vision for this province, a vision to make a fair and reasonable property tax reforms to make it more equitable while ensuring everybody pays their fair share. A vision includes raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour over 4 years to put more money in the pockets of working families. A vision that includes reversing the privatization of extramural care done by the Glen Liberals, and a vision to make childcare more accessible by offering childcare directly in schools from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every school day. An NDP government would also be more environmentally responsible by stopping the spraying of glyphosate spray. I've talked to New Brunswickers and they are excited about the NDP vision, a government that supports workers, families, students, seniors, and minorities. They're excited about our plan to help New Brunswickers to be able to work towards their highest potential. As MLA for Rothesay, I would listen to residents and work every day in and day out to fight for the people of Rothesay. On September 24th, I ask for your support to elect me as your MLA so that I can stand up for you.
As I go door to door in Rothesay riding, not a day goes by that I don't think about my conversations with two young men. One earned a degree, a certificate at community college. He now lives at home and goes from temporary contract to temporary contract with nothing permanent on the horizon. The second young man yearns to return to community college to learn a trade, but is trapped in a low-paying full-time job that barely covers rent, food, and transportation, leaving nothing left over to save for tuition. Both young men feel stuck, the first because he can't build a career, and the second because he can't launch one. As a retired teacher, I think about what I could do as a Green MLA to help these young men and others like them find training and employment. I believe these opportunities lie in the energy efficiency and renewable energy sectors. The transition to renewable energy is coming. It's inevitable. The question is, will New Brunswick be ready? There will be jobs in net zero and passive solar home construction, solar and wind power installation, smart grid and battery storage installation, and IT. As part of a green government, I would devote every fiber of my being to ensure our workforce is ready for these opportunities. I would link oil and gas workers and youth with retraining and training opportunities. I would work to ensure support for those lacking the means to pay. Acting now with aggressive timelines and measurable benchmarks would place New Brunswickers in the forefront of renewable energy technology in Canada, with workers prepared to fill the upcoming jobs. These two young men and other women and men could train, retrain, and thrive in careers offering professional growth and personal satisfaction. Throughout this riding, the lack of affordable rental housing has struck me. Seniors wishing to downsize and free their equity are finding it almost impossible to find affordable rental housing. A few new condominium complexes are being built, but a senior selling a modest home can't afford a $380,000 condominium. The rents of some of the newer rental complexes are too high for those of modest means. The Green Platform contains the commitment to remove barriers to developing affordable housing. A green government would make more rent supplements available to individuals rather than landlords. As a Green MLA, I would collaborate with the town of Rothesay and City of St. John to develop new social and cooperative housing and co-housing projects, ensuring that a significant number of these are accessible to and affordable for persons with disabilities. As a Green MLA, I would be available to you, the constituents, throughout regular office hours and scheduled appointments. I would also schedule regular town hall meetings where you could share ideas and concerns and give input and feedback on proposed legislation. I would be honored to serve you as your Green MLA.
I'm Stephanie Thomason, your Liberal candidate for Rothesay. But don't let the name fool you. I'm fortunate to have a number of communities within our riding. Rothesay, French Village, Barsa, Golden Grove, and Glen Falls in St. John. Starting in November, I've made it a priority to visit all of these communities, talking to local residents about what is important to them. Depending on the area of the riding, our concerns have been different. In St. John, there's lots of feedback about jobs, healthcare, education, and childcare. In Rothesay, the feedback is also about healthcare, but also investments, growing the economy, and seniors issues. Although the feedback may be different in certain parts of the riding, one thing is for sure: we all want to see New Brunswick succeed. Seniors here are facing some serious issues. Many need to find more affordable housing options. They want to downsize their homes. Seniors need more reasonable housing options in order to stay in the area. Our seniors are asking for more rental options in Rothesay, under $1,000 per month. We need our policies in Fredericton to be aligned with the people's priorities. The age-friendly community strategy is a great example of community engagement. There were hundreds of people who helped build this strategy. As your MLA, my priority is to clearly represent your priorities in Fredericton. My focus will always be the riding of Rothesay. Education is my passion. I've been working at the ground level for 22 years now in both rural and urban settings. Currently, I'm the principal at Rothesay High School. When some suggest that we're investing too much in education, I disagree. As a principal, I'm very pleased with the investments made by the Liberal government. We've had over a 15% increase in education that we have desperately needed for some time now. The party in opposition always answers everything with cuts, both with students and teachers. It was the opposition that moved the teachers' pension to shared risk when at a time that we were fully funded by making smart union decisions. And as administrators, we faced a number of cuts under the opposition while trying to support the needs associated with inclusion, French immersion, technology, and general care and maintenance of a building full of people. We're trying to educate your children, and we can't take another cut. We aren't wasting money with money invested in education. And we're seeing positive results. We need to work with the progress that is already ongoing. Our students are no longer university focused. We need to help our youth connect with employment that works for them. This government has made great steps at the front end with investments in early learning and childcare. But when we set our kids up for success, we have to see them all the way through. For example, the Liberal government has committed to putting trades back into the school, and I want to be there at the table, making sure we're creating the right conditions, the right training, and the right facilities to set everyone up for success. This will be an important transition, and it needs to be done correctly. From years of working with youth, I feel strongly about destigmatizing mental health challenges. Apart from my work as principal, I'm an active board member at KV Oasis Youth Center, and it has been a great source for our local youth. I believe in not only stronger assistance with treatment of mental health, but also with the implementation of programs of prevention and general wellness. We need to ensure mental health care is available and accessible for all. Right now, the wait times are long and the need is great. And it's my hope that, if elected, I might be able to assist the planning and implementation of a stronger action plan to address the issues surrounding mental health. I hope this gives you a better idea of who I am and where my priorities and abilities lie. My greatest asset is my passion. I'm passionate about our community. I think the province is on the move, and I'm happy with where education is going, and I see improvements that need to be made. I have the skill set, and I believe if I earn the right to be at the table, that I will keep my word to work hard for you as a riding. I promise you. As your MLA, I will have an open constituency office. As at my school, my door will always be open. When I'm in Fredericton, I'll follow through with the town of Rothesay and City of St. John priorities, assisting them, and will strive to give voice to true concerns of our riding, straight from the people. I'm here to help, and I'll do my best every day to represent you. This campaign's been a great opportunity to discuss the actions we've taken and the actions we will take to create jobs and grow the economy for all New Brunswickers. We want to keep that momentum going. We're working hard to create a fairer economy for all New Brunswickers. We'll reduce the emergency wait times, raise the minimum wage to $14 an hour, and the freeze of MB power rates will help all families. I'm asking your support. Vote for me, Stephanie Thomason, your Liberal candidate in Rothesay.
Hello, my name is Linnea Stephan, and I'm running in the St. John East riding for the Green Party. I'm a lifelong resident of St. John and grew up on the east side. I currently have a home in the Redhead area and have been there for 12 years. I have a degree in travel and tourism and worked in that field for 11 years. For the past 7 years, I've worked in the technology sales field. I was a member of the Redhead Community Association and helped plan events with the City of St. John. Later, I became the spokesperson of the Redhead Anthony's Cove Preservation Association, a group that was formed to protect our community from the Energy East project. This role entailed speaking to media, planning events, presentations to City Council, collaboration with many groups, writing articles, presenting to provincial committees, federal government, which includes the National Energy Board and Natural Resources, and the Senate Committee. I've also collaborated with different unions to help move our province to a low-carbon economy and help create jobs for New Brunswickers. By advocating for my community, I saw firsthand how governments did not work in the best interest of those who voted them in. This is why I'm running, so people have a voice who will work for them and not special interest. For the past 4 years, I've been a member of the local chapter of Council of Canadians, an organization that has groups across Canada. We advocate for democracy, water, environment, healthcare, and trade issues. I've been doing my best to pressure government to do the right thing from the outside, but now feel I would be most effective from the inside. For the Green Party, we know it starts here at home. We have a vision of the kind of province we all want for our children. We want to ensure the legislature works for you, not special interest, that communities make important decisions for health services, education, and economic development. We want government budgets that are financially sustainable and promotes fairness and equity. We want sustainable forestry and a ban on the spraying of glyphosate. We would tackle problems of poverty, mental illness, and addictions. We would ensure more of the food we eat and the goods we buy are produced for and by New Brunswickers. We want homes and businesses to be energy efficient and powered by renewables. I'm passionate about people and making their lives better, and want to put heart and compassion back in the legislature, and hope you consider voting for me to be your next MLA. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Glen Savoy, your Progressive Conservative candidate for the riding of St. John East. I want to use my 8 years' experience as an MLA to work for you, to help better our community and make sure that New Brunswick is as strong and as prosperous as it can be. When you look at the last 4 years under the Gallant government, you've seen punitive taxes, wait times increase in hospitals, education scores decrease. New Brunswick is moving in the wrong direction. We've lost 5,800 private sector jobs. Under a Blaine Higgs government, you will see action on healthcare wait times. You will see action on education outcomes, and you will see action on jobs. We don't believe that a taxpayer-funded economy is the best way forward. We believe that more money in taxpayers' pockets for them to choose how they want to spend it is a better way to go. More private sector jobs means more people paying taxes, means more taxes for our healthcare, for our roads, and for our schools. Brian Gallant wants to impose a carbon tax on the backs of people of New Brunswick who are already overtaxed. We're saying no to this carbon tax. New Brunswick is already meeting its greenhouse gas reduction targets, and we do not need a punitive carbon tax. A Blaine Higgs government will fight Justin Trudeau to make sure that the carbon tax does not come to New Brunswick. So on September 24th, I'm asking for your support. I'm asking you to vote for real experience, for you to vote for real results, for you to vote for a Blaine Higgs government that will give you a New Brunswick that you can be proud of and that is sustainable, that will work for our families and lead us into a more prosperous future. On September 24th, I'm asking you to vote for Glen Savoy, PC candidate for St. John East.
Change is in the air. All across New Brunswick, people are tired of old red and blue leading us down the all too familiar path of broken election promises, debt, 11 straight deficits, ridiculously long wait times for health care, low educational test scoring, and an economy which is poorly managed at best. Like so many I've been hearing, have been asking the same questions. What can I do? How can it be fixed? How can I be part of change? And can we really change New Brunswick? The answer is yes. Welcome to the People's Alliance Party of New Brunswick. My name is Matthew Thompson, and I am the candidate for St. John East for the People's Alliance of New Brunswick, and hopefully on September 24th, your new MLA. We are a uniquely different party, a party that is meant to govern for the people, not the party, to serve our constituents and be the voice that you need in Fredericton, a voice that is solid and strong for East St. John and the city as a whole. As your new MLA, I will fight for you and I will defend you. I am goal-oriented and driven to see St. John East prosper and succeed. And yes, I will even vote against my party if you ask. That's right, common sense government for all the people of New Brunswick. The People's Alliance Party is a party with a mandate to bring about real change to government. Our goal is to unite the province as one, breaking down and destroying the divisive barriers and wedges that government has used for decades to pit us against one another. We believe passionately in New Brunswick, in its people, its heritage, its culture, its languages, its identity, its resources, its creativity, its bilingualism, and its determination to be the best in spite of every odd that is thrown its way. Old red and blue continue to cause division and segregation among us all, but we are better than that. We believe that together we are stronger. Together we can be an example to the country and to the world that multiple languages, faiths, lifestyles, heritage, lineage can unite for the greater good of everyone and still be distinct and maintaining our cultural identities. None will be lost. In fact, all will be celebrated. Maya Angelou said this: segregation shaped me and education liberated me. We know all too well that segregation has been used by the government for decades to put New Brunswick against each other. But for just a brief moment, I want to educate you about being the change and hopefully liberating you to be that change. Our plan is to return the voice of the people to the legislature and allow MLAs to properly represent their constituents, to stop the millions of tax dollars that go to big corporation interests annually and make industry pay their fair and reasonable taxes. No longer will we take and prosper companies that are posting billion-dollar profits quarterly. We want to help the small business instead. We want to reform the tax system to abolish the double tax and small business tax, reducing the debt and balancing the budget and eliminating and stopping the debt clock in its tracks. We want to ban glassite spraying on Crown lands in New Brunswick to make New Brunswick a healthier place. Create jobs and economic prosperity by building a vibrant business environment that keeps our skilled workforce right here in New Brunswick. We want to enact proper language policies to promote fairness, equality, and harmony and celebrate true bilingualism. We want to eliminate the divisive official language commissioner's office and redirect language complaints to the place they should be, the local MLA and minister responsible for official languages, or the ombudsman. We want to end duality in healthcare, in our school bus systems, and in all different systems in the province, and so that we can save millions annually and return it back. We want to end the problems that are in this province and create real solutions. We are for you, the people. We believe in all of New Brunswick. No matter who you are, no matter whether you support us or you don't, we believe fully in an inclusive and a beautiful and bright, prosperous future for New Brunswick. On September 24th, you can be the change. Say no to the old red and blue and the old way of doing things and vote Matthew Thompson for St. John East and the People's Alliance for New Brunswick. Together we can make New Brunswick the best darn province that it can be in the country. And together we'll have a bright and prosperous future, not only for us, but our children. Because I'm not just doing this for you, I'm doing this for my 4 kids, your kids, and our grandkids. Because together we can be the change. Follow along at the campaign on Facebook at Matthew Thompson St. John East. If you have any questions, let me know. Remember, every vote matters. Your vote matters. Get out and vote and exercise that right and be the change. Let's make New Brunswick an amazing province once again. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Alex White. I'm running for the NB New Democratic Party candidacy in St. John East. I'm a native St. Johnner. I was born and raised here. I went to school here. I've worked in this city in jobs from kitchens to call centers, nonprofits to newspapers, and I've seen the potential this city has, this province has. I've run for city council. I believe so hard in this place. I have been involved in politics and advocating for change my entire life, and that's why I'm running in this provincial election. As for why I'm running for the NDP, I'm a worker. I'm not a businessman. I don't own my own company. I'm not a lawyer. I work. And I believe that workers' needs and voices have not been recognized or heard in this province for a very long time. And the NBNDP has policies that would benefit not only an average citizen like myself or anyone else who works at call centers or kitchens, and not even only those who would be low earners. We do have things such as our $15 minimum wage plank, for example, where for 4 years we will raise the minimum wage by $1. This allows us to phase it in when allow the businesses to keep pace and be completely adjusted to the new changes. But this will lift a third of the province. A third of the province will be making more money, and that money will go directly back into local shops, local restaurants, and it would have an incredible economic boon throughout the province. It's just one way that we could lift them up. I'm sure we all know families, for example, where one or both parents find it difficult to return to work, not because they don't want to and not because the jobs are not there, but because it is economically less feasible for them to return if they have to find childcare. The NBNDP has a $15 a day childcare plank. With that, it would free up so many people to be able to return to work, to be able to get back to doing what they enjoy, to be able to get back to providing for their families. It will allow a huge amount of economic impact to be felt with barely a change to the structure of the economy. Another one that I personally can relate to, I'm nearly 35 myself. I have seen students and graduates from my grad class, several after and several before, leave this province, both for work, as we all are aware of, and for education. The price of education has skyrocketed in recent years, even since I finished my degree. And the NBNDP have a plan to cut university tuition by 25%. And community college, we want to make the tuition free. If we want to stop having to bring in workers from outside this province to do our infrastructure upgrades, having a free community college program for people to attend is almost a no-brainer. It will allow us to train and keep our youth here, instead of watching our friends and brothers and sisters and children leave this province because they can't make it. I know these are all very broad goals from the NBNDP, and they apply to the whole province. As for St. John East, we have so many issues that can be addressed. We are all aware of the pollution that comes from big polluters in this area. The doctors in the city are aware of it. The families are aware of it. We need to address this problem for the health of our children. The east side has massive floods. Flood risks are everywhere. Floodplains abound, and there has been little to nothing done by previous governments to help try to fix this, so we can have people move to the east side of St. John without fear. If you believe, like I do, that the voices of the average citizen and the average worker in this province need to be heard, then let's do it. Let's work together. Let's get the NBNDP back in the legislature where we belong, where your voice belongs. And let's find our way to the best possible future for New Brunswick. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Trevor Holder, your Progressive Conservative candidate in Portland Simonds. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your MLA for the last number of years in this riding. The question you have to ask, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Well, the answer to that is we're still continuing to pay $2 million a day on interest on the debt alone. That's $2 million a day that isn't spent on health care and education. That's $2 million a day that isn't spent in community development. We need to get our fiscal situation under control so that we have the resources to invest for future generations in this province. In fact, we're paying $1 billion more in taxes across the board than we were 4 years ago. The government says they want you to pay a little bit more.
Well, $1 billion more in a population of 750,000 people is not a little bit more. $1 billion is a whole lot extra money. And the question is, do we have shorter wait times in our hospital? No. Do we have better educational outcomes in the school system? And the answer is no. We can do so much better. We need to stop taxing people to death, and we need to start grabbing on to the economic development opportunities of a generation. We will not raise any taxes further than they are right now. We will fight the carbon tax. And if the carbon tax is imposed on us by the federal government, we will find taxes to lower to offset it. We need to get the Energy East pipeline back on track. This project is not dead, but we got a federal government that imposed regulations on our pipeline that didn't apply to any other pipeline, and our premier didn't stand up to it. We continue to squander an economic development opportunity of a generation with natural gas development in this province. We cannot continue to leave gas in the ground in Sussex. We need to have a pipeline built to St. John. We need natural gas development so that we can continue to attract more new Canadians and more people home from out west, so that we can continue to grow our population in this province, so that we have the resources economically to invest in the priorities of New Brunswickers. We need more people here paying a more reasonable level of taxation so that we can continue to be competitive in New Brunswick. You know, I've represented this riding for many years, and I've learned more from my constituents than they've ever learned from me. I don't believe for a minute that communities are created in Fredericton or Ottawa. Communities are real, with real people in them. And those people have ideas, and we need to engage them. It has been a privilege to get to know people in communities like the Moreland Park, Silver Falls, Milledgeville, Crescent Valley, and the Old North End and Anglin Drive. And I'm going to continue to work with those communities to build a better St. John. We need to make sure that we're competitive from a taxation perspective, that we seize the economic development opportunities of a generation, and I believe if we do that, our best days as a province are still yet to come. On September 24th, I ask for your vote. I'm Trevor Holder.
Hi, my name is John McKenzie, and I'm your Liberal candidate for Portland Simonds. About 4 years ago, I became interested in the future of St. John. Actually, it was 6 years ago when I started running for council. Became interested in the future of St. John because, you know, I had spent about 15 years in volunteering for the District Education Council and the District Parent Advisory Council, and I thought it was time for a change. So the last 6 years I've been on council as your representative for Ward 2. And about a year and a half ago or so, I was approached to see if I would support the Liberal Party of New Brunswick. I told them at the time that I don't carry cards for political parties, but if they were to invest in the city of St. John, they may get a good return on their investment. They've invested about $400 million in your city. They've put the first new school in St. John in 40 years on the west side. They put a new trades training center out at NBCC. They've invested about $90 million in the hospital, at the regional hospital. They're also going to put a new museum on the waterfront. Can you imagine what that's going to do now for waterfront development in the city of St. John? You know, they signed a deal with City Council. It's called the New Deal for St. John. What that's all about, they recognize that you can take Moncton, Fredericton, and Rothesay and set them within the boundaries of St. John. They recognize that it's hard to run a city that large with a population less than what Moncton has. They recognize that something has to change. They signed a 3-year short-term deal with St. John Council, basically saying remain fiscally responsible, but don't cut and slash to the point where citizens are going to suffer. So they're going to protect us for 3 years, and the long-term solution to our financial situation is going to be achieved. It's probably going to be tax reform. It means that everybody's going to have to pay their fair share. We pay far too much as citizens in St. John. We pay the highest tax rate in the province of New Brunswick. That has to change. I'm willing to go to Fredericton to try to make those changes. I'm willing to work with a government that has proven to me that St. John's important to them. So on that September 24th, I'm looking for your support to help get cabinet ministers around the table and let's put St. John first. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Artie Watson. I'm an independent candidate for the Portland-Simonds riding. I'm an independent candidate because I believe everyone should be represented equally, regardless of their political affiliation. Party and partisan politics have hindered our ability for growth and to solve our most pressing issues for far too long. For decades, we have watched our representatives become entangled in controversy after controversy, costing us hundreds of millions of dollars, failing to deliver on their promises time and time again. It is time for change. It is time for you, the voter, to send a strong message that you have had enough. As an elected member of the New Brunswick Legislature, I will be a strong voice for the people, working tirelessly, drafting and voting on legislation to ensure that the constituents I represent, and all New Brunswickers alike, are treated fairly and have every opportunity to thrive. Fair taxation in all its forms will be a major priority. The current tax system is counterproductive, hindering our ability to attract new investment and development for growth and sustainability, and weighing our citizens down. We need better mental health care, more doctors, nurses, and supporting staff with better services that will result in less wait times. We need more teachers in modern schools that serve fresh food from local sources, and new curriculums that focus on the holistic approach to education, a young mind, body, and spirit that is fed well, does well, and will lower our costs in other areas as they grow and learn. We need to make the free tuition program for post-secondary education and training access easier by making changes to the application process that discriminates against those with unfavorable credit scores from pursuing higher education and training. We need fair business legislation and enforcement that keeps business accounts on Canadian soil and out of offshore holdings. Incentives, not large handouts to corporations who post record-setting profits. We must create the environment that will attract investment and development for growth that put people first. We need to prepare for the changes that artificial intelligence and robotics will have on our job markets in the near future. We need to prepare for the changes now. It's time to look at the idea of a universal basic income by implementing a pilot program to study its benefits in hopes of eradicating poverty and the costs associated with it. It's time for a living wage, progressive labor laws, and fair arbitration legislation that is balanced for employers and employees. I will be a strong voice advocating for more transparency and accountability for the practices and procedures made by government to ensure that we don't repeat the mistakes of our past governments. If you are looking for a candidate who will fight for fair taxation, economic development, education and healthcare reforms that put people above profits, I'm your representative. A representative who will hold government accountable and one who will take a bipartisan approach to governance. A representative with new vision that puts people first. Don't be a spectator to democracy. Seize this opportunity to be heard. On September 24th, get out to vote and vote for Artie Watson. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wayne Dreyer, and I'd like to tell you what you can expect if I'm successful in my attempt to represent St. John Harbour as a member of the Green Party after the next election. First, you should know that I will represent you, the residents of St. John Harbour, and not the Green Party to you. While I am in agreement with the principles of the Green Party and its platform, My first obligation is to you, not to the party. I will establish regular constituency meetings and communication strategies so that everyone wishing to understand more clearly and to participate more meaningfully in the decisions affecting this riding will have the opportunity. The Green Party's goal for this election is to elect 5 candidates and hold the balance of responsibility in the legislature. New Brunswick simply cannot afford another 4 years of either the Liberals or the Conservatives holding unfettered control in the legislature. Creating environmental sustainability as part of the Green Party's platform is not only good for the environment, but is also good for the economy. Shifting policies that will promote procurement of goods that are either locally grown or locally produced creates jobs. Over the last few months, I have tried to campaign using the principles that I would follow if I were to be elected to the legislature. You will note that my signs are smaller and do not have the same gloss as the other candidates do in the race. Early on, I decided to try to eliminate plastic. So, in conjunction with a local printer and using the resources of the St. John Tool Library, we found a way to laminate separate sheets of paper to hardboard to create a biodegradable or reusable product. The rains have not been kind to me, but this was an example of an initiative that may very well become the norm in campaigns to come. A local sign painter created the advertising for my truck, and I have repurposed a vendor's cart that I once used for a leatherworking business to become a mobile campaign office. The challenges of the current economy will require these kinds of creative solutions using local resources. Here in St. John, we have a huge financial issue. The city simply needs more revenue. And Council has worked diligently to see that the tax discount that was offered to the LNG terminal was rescinded and has indicated that gaining control over property taxation within city limits is central to its economic survival. Did you know that there was a time when the oil tanks for the refinery on which were located paid taxes? Currently, it is not taxed. And there was a time when the value of machinery within the pulp mills of the city was included in the assessment value of these properties. They are not included now. And each time these changes were made, the residents of the city were required to assume a greater responsibility, a greater financial responsibility. And we can no longer bear that load. The Green Party supports the initiatives taken by City Council in this area, and its platform includes the removing of the current tax exemption on oil storage tanks and the changing of the property tax rules to return machinery into the assessed value of heavy industry sites. Heavy industry must be required to carry its fair share of the load of building a sustainable St. John. This would require real change. This would be real change. It begins here at home.
My name is Jerry Lowe. I'm running for the Liberals in the Harbour. I'll go and start. I was born and raised in the South End. I spent my first 27 years of my life there. I started St. John the Baptist School and went on to St. Max. After that, I did a couple years holiday relief firefighters, and I bought Vets Cab, and I went to work for Canada Post for 35 years. Of the 35 years, 21 of them I was on loan to the Letter Carriers Union, which I looked after Atlantic Canada for letter carriers and mail service couriers. After that, near the end of that, I started building a housing development on Rockland Road. I built 25, 26 houses up there. And I built a lot of bars, billiard halls, and restaurants throughout the city over that period. I got in politics as running for council 5 years ago. I enjoyed it very much, and I enjoy it very much today. And I felt that looking at everything for 5 years, most of the changes that this city needs rest in Fredericton. So my belief is now that in order to make it better for St. John, make a better St. John, the changes have to be made in Fredericton, and I'm willing to go there and fight for whatever it is. There's many changes, mainly taxes, the right for the St. John Energy to run a business so dividends can go to the city. And the more you get involved as to what it is in Fredericton, the more you see how things have to be lightened up in St. John so that we can do better. I hope that you support me. I'm willing to take on any issue as I have before through my council days. I fought for the whistle cessation on Thorne Avenue, Rothesay Avenue, the LNG taxes, the Laurenville development, the Laurenville barge terminal, the field house. So there's many things that I did, but when you do something, you never do it alone. You got to have fellow councillors and other people with you. So the first thing you do when you go to Fredericton, no doubt, you make friends with certain people, so you have people around the table that will have the same idea, and you try to sell the same idea to them. So in closing, I'm just asking you to support me, if you will, and I'll go on to Fredericton, and I'll fight as hard as I can for the people of this riding.
Hi, my name is Jennifer McKenzie, and I'm the candidate for St. John Harbour and the leader of the New Democratic Party of New Brunswick. Bonjour, je m'appelle Jennifer McKenzie et je suis la candidate pour St. John Harbour et la chef du MPD du Nouveau-Brunswick. I'm a mother of 3 grown children, and I'm an engineer. 15 years ago, I left my work in high tech to stay home with my 3 children, and I became involved in a school closure campaign. I then got involved in school politics and became chair of the Ottawa School Board. It was there that I developed my passion for social justice. I was inspired by leaders like Jack Leighton and Ed Broadbent. A year ago, when I was asked to become leader of the NDP, a small group of us sat up on a deck and decided how we were going to tell the people of St. John and the people of New Brunswick who we are and what we stood for. And we developed 3 platform planks that we decided we were going to talk to the people of New Brunswick about. And those eventually became 5 planks, and they've defined who we are as a party and who I am as a leader. And I have moved to St. John. I bought a house here. I love my neighborhood. I love my city, and started knocking on doors and talking to you, the people of St. John. And I started to hear your stories. And what I found is a very clear match between the value system that we have as a party and the value system that you have when I talk to you about your families and your situations. And so now that we've started to talk about the things that we want to do, our 5 platform planks, and how they match with the needs of you and your community, it's starting to become clear how this will play out and how this will help the people of St. John to realize their aspirations. One of the things we set out to do was to talk to the youth, talk to the young people of the province, and to tell them, we want you to stay here in New Brunswick and build your lives here. Because with such an aging population, we're starting to see shortages in places like doctors, nurses, teachers, psychologists. And we need to have youth coming through our colleges and through our universities to fill those positions. And right now there's a real shortage because the youth see better opportunity elsewhere. So what we've done is we've said we're going to eliminate college tuition, and we're going to reduce university tuition, and we're going to forgive the interest on student loans for as long as youth stay in the province. And these are really important things in and of themselves, but the most important thing is that we're starting to send a message to the youth. We want you to stay here. We want you to build your lives here. We have a childcare plan. When you start your families, we are going to put childcare in every school in the province where there is need so that you don't have to worry about moving children during the day. It's universal, it's affordable, it's accessible. And so these are the messages that are starting to resonate. We have plans to create jobs. We have a great big green energy plan. We want to transition the province off fossil fuels and onto green energy. We would create a carbon reduction fund that 1/3 would go back to low and middle income earners, but 1/3 would be invested in green energy and 1/3 would be invested in green technology and projects and research and development so that we can start to build the industries here that will take us into the future. This is the kind of future that St. Johners want to see. This is the kind of future that youth want to see. It's a progressive and it's a socially responsible and it's a green future. We, as the NDP, want to build a new province with a new vision. We want to change the way, change our outlook and encourage the youth to stay here, encourage people to come back to the province and to build an economy where everybody can thrive. Our message resonates well with St. John. The types of projects we would introduce are the types of projects that would work very well here, being a port city. And I'm very proud to be a New Democrat and to put my name forward to be your MLA. Thank you very much and merci.
Hi, I'm Tony Mowry. I grew up on Coster Street and Manawaganish Road. I've been a lifelong West Sider. I possess a Bachelor of Business Administration from UMBSJ and 2 trade certifications from NBCCSJ. I'm asking you to vote for the NDP and myself in the upcoming election. I examined the NDP platform and decided to offer in this election. It is a common sense, affordable plan, and it will begin to solve the province's financial issues and improve our community in Lancaster. The NDP will begin to utilize public schools for daycare services. Daycare will be starting at 6 a.m. until school starts, and then resume at the end of classes until 6 p.m., saving families money. The public is already paying for these buildings. Our NDP leader, Jennifer McKenzie, has already experienced setting these programs up. It has been done successfully in Ontario and in Nova Scotia. It will provide more stable, well-paying jobs and allow children to access gymnasiums, libraries, and playgrounds. The NDP has pledged to work with any federal government for a national pharmacare plan. We spend so much money on health care and then make it impossible for some people to afford the medication to cure their ailments. How many auctions, Steakensteins, and GoFundMe campaigns do we see these days? Seniors have to make choices between groceries or paying the increasing Blue Cross premiums of several $100s per month. We pledge to keep extramural public, work towards bringing ambulance services back to public emergency services. How can we praise first responders on Facebook and then force them to work for an outsourced provider? It is not fair to them or our community. All partners are now promising an increase to the minimum wage, but it was the NDP that promised this first. Everybody else followed. In addition to these province-wide issues, West St. John has some very special challenges. Firstly, I intend to utilize all provincial resources to ensure the city addresses our current water issue. Secondly, I intend to work with the port, the Lorneville Industrial Park, and other levels of government to create manufacturing that we can export around the world. I commit to quarterly meetings so we can all be informed. I will invite the West Side councillors and the Member of Parliament. I will bring you information from Fredericton and how I wish to address issues. We have to work together. We might not always agree, but we can be respectful West Siders and find common ground. We have several community centers that are smaller in the area. However, we don't have one common place to get information. I pledge to make your MLA's office a place where you can meet and get information to the community and government resources. I thank you and I hope for your support.
Hello, my name is Paul Seeley. I'm the candidate for the People's Alliance Party for St. John Lancaster. There are 3 topics that I want to talk on. One will be tax reform, the other one will be corporate welfare, and the third will be end duality. So as the People's Alliance for the tax, we will eliminate the double tax. We're the only province in Canada that has paid double tax, and that's an owner unoccupied building or properties that you're paying double tax on. We want to end corporate welfare. We're paying $300 million a year for corporate welfare. We can't afford it. We think that industry should be paying their fair share on taxes. We want materials and equipment involved with the tax assessment. As far as the duality goes, we can't afford 2 systems. If you take Vitalite and Horizon, put them together, they both do the same, offer the same services, we would save $40 to $60 million a year. Now just imagine what $40 to $60 million would do to a healthcare system. Same as the school busing. Segregating school kids, French and English on separate buses, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We would save $17 to $19 million by putting them together. And after school, they're probably playing together anyway. So it just doesn't make sense. As your candidate, I would appreciate your vote. I want to be your voice. We need to bring transparency and accountability back to the people. Right now, there isn't a whole lot of that. So that's, as your candidate, that's what I want to do. I want to bring accountability and transparency back and take a voice, your voice, to the legislature. Thank you.
I'm Bill Merrifield, and I'm the Liberal candidate for King's Centre in beautiful southwestern New Brunswick. I was acclaimed as the candidate back in October of last year, and in that 9-month period I've had a wonderful opportunity to meet and greet a number of New Brunswickers, over 4,000 and counting now, at their doorsteps. The process for me to decide to become a candidate was really quite involved. I watched the existing government operate for a period of 3 years or so, felt that there was significant opportunity to make a contribution to what's going on in New Brunswick generally. I have a great deal of respect and admiration for the leadership. In fact, that was the final deciding cast of the vote for me to actually become a candidate for the Liberal Party of New Brunswick. I think leadership and vision are extremely important when it comes to getting involved in anything, and politics in particular, because it affects us all. In the last 9 months, I've logged thousands of kilometers on my truck, and I've had lots of conversations with people. Basically, when you meet with people at the door, you get a sense of what's really important to them, and I believe that's the most important mandate that a politician or aspiring politician can put on the table, is a desire to hear people and actually act on what they're telling you by making notes and by actioning it if at all possible. I've learned that I'm a good listener. I've also learned that I didn't know what I didn't know. In fact, I'm still learning. Every conversation informs me, informs my opinion, informs my course of action, and certainly I've gathered a series of imperatives that I would execute on if I were elected on September the 24th. One thing I have learned, and one thing I'm hearing at the doors, is that people are realizing that one-term governments just don't work. You know, it takes a while for a government to get settled and to learn the ropes, and then by then it's almost election time again, and as a result, things don't happen as they should. We've had only one-term governments since 2003, and it shows. Our province is hurting in part because of that reason. We have a plan. The Liberal government has actually had quite a good run in the last 4 years. We've reduced unemployment from over 10% to around 8%. Basically, the economy has grown over 5% in the last 4 years compared to a 1.4 negative in the previous mandate with the previous government. And it's important that this, because it affects us all. It affects our jobs, it affects our prospects for future, it affects our families, it reflects on everything we say and do. It's important to have timely access to health care. Basically, most people are involved with either waiting for a doctor or having a doctor and being concerned about losing that one. Also, there's a very, very long wait time, and we're working on that. Effectively, what we've done in the last 4 years is hired 90 new doctors net, and in the upcoming mandate, we expect to hire 90 more, 50 nurse practitioners, new LPNs, and additional people, 50 I believe in number, or 80, excuse me, in nursing homes as nursing assistants, attendants. And we're working with the New Brunswick Medical Society to recruit more people. It's an aggressive process out there to find doctors to come anywhere, and we're in the process of competing with some fairly large wallets to bring people here. We're also looking to increase the number of seats in the medical education process, both in Moncton and St. John. We're investing over $100 million in renovations to existing nursing homes, and we're planning on building a number, 10 actually, new 60-bed nursing homes, possibly one in our riding, over the next 5 years, and an additional 400 memory beds. That's important because as our population ages, we want to keep people in their homes, but we also have to make it possible for them to stay there, and I'll get to that in a minute. There's also $400 million being invested in hospitals and equipment over the next 4 years. And the sleeping giant in our community is mental health. There are a lot of mental health issues out there. I'm discovering them as I go door to door. And people are sharing their intimate issues with me, hopefully with the hope that I can help them process that. The economy, we've turned it around. It was in decline. We've raised the minimum wage 4 times. And we're aspiring to have the minimum wage at $14 within 5 years. Recently realized a $67 million budget surplus while investing record amounts ever in healthcare and education. New teachers, we've hired over 100. We put 6,000 students through the 3 tuition program in 2017, and we're looking at upgrading daycares to the point where we can also make it free for those who are really in need. So basically, cut the deficit in half while making record investments. We're turning the ship around. It takes a while. 2 terms are really necessary, 3 hopefully. From a local perspective, we're looking at a new K-5 school in Grand Bay Westfield and more recreational opportunities for our youth and seniors, and better transportation opportunities for seniors in our community. Improving the roads and infrastructure are huge. I've heard a lot about it, particularly in the rural areas. And I found that ground-up works, a participative and proactive MLA makes all the difference in the world, and that's what I intend to be.
Hi, I'm Susan Shedd, and I'm running for the NDP in Kings Centre. I am a longtime NDPer. I believe in co-ops, in credit unions, and the union party. In fact, I joined a union when I was 16. It was my very first job. The reason I love these units is because the money stays in New Brunswick. When my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, I learned firsthand the high cost of death and dying. So when I heard a woman was starting the first funeral co-op in New Brunswick, I was all in. We started in 1997. It became Fundy Funeral Co-op. Again, Bayview Credit Union helped us. It's a co-op. It helps the community. When I joined hospice, I worked for and volunteered for 20 years. I am now Secretary-Treasurer of our small survey company. I am asked why I'm running. I'm running to lift people up. We have poverty, we have low education. I think it's white noise. We hear 1 in 5 children live in poverty, 1 in 3 have abuse. So I believe in the NDP. I believe in our plans to help our community. Our first plan is $15 an hour minimum wage. Our second plan is universal daycare, which allows women to enter the workforce, enter the trades, have a safe, licensed place for their children that's affordable. Universal pharmacare, affordable drugs. A lot of people don't have drug plans. A lot of people don't have a pension. And the next question I'm often asked is, how do we pay for these? Well, these ideas are not new. They go back to Jack Leighton. They go back to Tom Mulcair. Corporations have to pay their fair share. Corporations have to pay their fair share. That will help our social programs. That will help everyone in New Brunswick. So I know it's hard to vote for change. It's hard to vote for different. But if there's 5 parties running, and in some areas there's 6 parties running, to me that means that people are ready for a change. I think they're tired of flipping. Oh, let me see, it's Conservatives next, or the Liberals are entitled. I think we can end this. I think we're 2 weeks away from an election. The polls are open. You can go and vote. New Brunswick is made different, one vote at a time. So take a chance. Lift up your lives. Vote for the NDP. And please do it today. Thank you.
My name is Doug Ellis. I'm running for the People's Alliance for Fundy-The-Isles-Saint John West. I grew up in southern New Brunswick, bouncing back and forth between St. John and Moncton until I was about 10 years old. My family finally settled in the outskirts of St. John at that point in time, and that's where I've lived ever since. I have strong ties to Charlotte County as my parents grew up there, and I've spent a great deal of time fishing, hunting, camping in the area, and spending time at the family cottage on the Diggity Wash Lake. I have done many things in my work career. As a teenager, I did many things like most of us do. Most of my work career was spent at NBTEL. I started there working in the warehouse, and I moved into the IT department, starting off as a junior programmer and working my way up through to senior systems analyst. I worked on many great teams there where we tackled difficult issues and come up with good solutions. I'm an average guy. Why would I want to get into politics? I want to see a change in the way our province is run. I have watched politics all of my life, and I have seen many people become disenfranchised with the way the system is working, as they seem to only have one day every 4 years where they have a voice. After the election is done, they don't feel like they have any input. The People's Alliance wants to bring the voice back to the people. We would do this by allowing the MLAs to do a free vote based on what their constituents want, rather than having to toe a party line. I would want to represent the people of Fundy-The-Isles-Saint John West in this way. I would see that working by getting out and talking to the people, be they fishermen, blueberry growers, foresters, what have you. I need input from the people in order to understand what their issues and concerns are, come to resolutions, and take that to the House. Here's some of the things People's Alliance wants to do. We want to reform the tax system. We want to abolish the double tax on properties where a non-owner is using it as a primary residence. Eliminate the small business tax, which will allow for better prosperity and success for small business, creating more jobs and allowing for more local services and less imports, and allowing for NB to become more self-sufficient. We want to change the Motor Vehicle Act in the following ways. Change motor vehicle registrations to one time only, when it changes hands, instead of annually. Remove the HST on the private sale of vehicles. Eliminate the requirement for a front plate. We are dedicated to reducing the debt. The debt is growing phenomenally in this province for a small number of people that we are. It is not fair that we be leaving this huge bill for our children and grandchildren, so we are dedicated to reduce the debt to cut down on that. We want to change the way we deal with natural resources. We want an approach that is environmentally responsible and sustainable. We want royalties and stumpage fees to be set to a point where the province actually makes money instead of losing money on it. We want to ban the spraying of glyphosates on Crown land. This is causing problems with habitat for our wildlife as well as their feedlots. The World Health Organization has also tied glyphosates to cancer, and there are currently lawsuits with Monsanto over this. We want to reduce the size and percentages of clear cutting to balance economic viability and environmental concerns. Safeguard our waterways. Increase primary sources of timber to private woodlot owners instead of cutting off of Crown land all the time. We want to ensure our Crown lands are accessible for responsible recreational use as well.
Hi, my name is Romy Hoof, and I'm living in Back Bay, and I'm your Green candidate for Fundy-The-Isles-Saint John West. So I'm sort of new to the political arena, but I've been political and passionate all my life. A lot of you might know me because I was a digital literacy instructor, and so I've spent a lot of time around Charlotte County and even a little bit beyond trying to help people with their computer issues. I'm very proud to be part of the Green Party, actually, so I'm very thrilled about that. I really believe in what the Green Party is standing for. The reason why the Green Party even exists is because the two previous political parties that have been running and ruling New Brunswick for 234 years are not offering people perhaps the right choices or enough information to make good choices. So the Green Party, one of the things we're going to be standing for is the ability to get information so that everybody can be informed as to where money is coming in, how money is being spent, so that every citizen in the riding will have a better idea of our revenue and our deficits and where things are going. Right now, you never know what's going on with spending and revenue, and everything's always a big black box mystery. So transparency, it's a word that's been thrown around a lot. But the Green Party people, we're all here because we think you can't have a functioning democracy without really understanding where money's coming from and where it's going. So maybe then we'd stop fighting about how we're spending it. We'd all be able to come to some sort of reasonable consensus and make our compromises going, okay, well, we can't afford that. So the Green Party does say living within our economic means, and that's going to be a big part of that, is if we know where the money comes from, we can learn to live within our means. But the other party, of course, or the platform for the Green Party is the ecological means, learning to live within our ecological means. A lot of people in New Brunswick, and in my riding in particular, we're not happy about spraying New Brunswick forests, we're not happy about pollution, we're not happy about being consulted about more nuclear reactors being built. So a lot of us would rightly so like to see more environmental stewardship be imposed upon larger corporations and big business. We don't think enough of our forests are being protected. We would like to see more old growth forest be able to stand as it is and be selective logging. We'd like to see also more independent entrepreneurs being able to make a living. We'd like to see a lot more small business people be able to make a living. And that's a two-part thing. One, that we have to have regulations that will help small businesses compete with large businesses. That means some deregulation, a lot of decentralization, giving power back to people and letting people make their own decisions, what's a risk that's worth taking or not. And the other thing is to encourage people to get to know your neighbors, get to know who's who does what, appreciate each other's skills, differences, etc., and learn to support each other. So when you can, buy local. When you can, support the small business. When you can, do something green, you know, like, so you pick for yourself what you can do. The strengths that I'm going to bring to the table are the fact that I'm very computer literate. I have a PhD in chemistry. I'm doing my master's in adult education. So I have sociology and psychology backgrounds with me. I've won international awards for my presentation ability, actually, because I was quite good at presenting large amounts of complex data in interesting and easy to follow ways. So that's why I'm sort of focusing on the information exchange, because I think I'm the person who can take that complex data, bring it to the people, explain it, and then get the feedback from people. I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear what's going on in your perspective of what you think needs to be changed and done, so that we can actually really have a great dialogue and we can learn to integrate socially a lot better. In terms of healthcare, which is probably the #1 issue, healthcare is a lot of things, and it's not just about giving a lot of pharmaceutical companies a lot of money. It's about what do we need to stay healthy, and research shows that if you have a good social integration and good interaction with other people, that's the biggest thing that will make you happy, and we'll all be happy if we all learn to talk and learn to get along with each other and work together. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Keith LeBlanc, and I am the NDP candidate for Fundy-The-Isles-Saint John West. Born and raised in New Brunswick, I am the proud father of 2 wonderful children. They are a big part of the reason why I chose to step forward. I began working at the age of 14 while in school and have had many different jobs both in the public and private sectors. I am currently a school bus driver for Francophone South School District, District Scolaire Francophone Sud, and have been since 2003. Throughout my working life, I have been a strong advocate for workers and their rights. I have held many leadership positions within my unions, and the experience and knowledge I have gained will make me a strong voice in the legislature. I see our children leaving this province because of the lack of sustainable employment, and I believe that our platform will create more opportunities for them. If elected, I will work hard to help create good-paying jobs in our communities so our children won't have to leave home to make a living and to have a good life. There is no doubt that the oil industry has a history of providing good jobs. I'm strongly convinced that investing in the green energy sector, we will be able to create 8 times more 35 to 40-year jobs, which will improve job opportunities and will provide living wages. These wages will then be reinvested right here at home. This will strengthen and grow our economy. I will represent you and your interests and bring your concerns forward. Our issues are long-standing without resolution, and it's time that they receive the attention they deserve. The combination of creating good-paying jobs in the green energy sector, affordable childcare, and a minimum living wage of $15 an hour will help grow our economy and our province to prosper. For the sake of ours and our children's futures, on September 24th, please vote NDP. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Ames, your Liberal candidate for the St. Croix riding. For the last 4 years, the Liberal government under Brian Gallant has been working hard to move New Brunswick forward with a plan based on 2 key principles. Growing a fairer economy has been and will remain our focus. We believe in fairness and opportunity. This campaign will be an opportunity to discuss the actions we have taken and the actions we will take to create jobs and grow the economy for all New Brunswickers. We'll discuss how we want to keep the momentum going, and about how we will keep the growing a fairer economy, and about how we will keep investing in crucial services like education and healthcare so that we can provide a better future for everyone, not just a select few. We want to highlight the many of our accomplishments of the Liberal government, including the creation of thousands of jobs, as well as the fact that New Brunswick now boasts the 2nd lowest gender wage gap in the country. We're out knocking on doors so we can reach as many New Brunswickers as possible, to listen to as many New Brunswickers on things such as raising the minimum wage and getting things done, provide free tuition for college and university students that need the most support, and providing free childcare for New Brunswick families who need the most care. Since 2014, the Gallant government has been moving our province forward with a plan based on fairness and opportunity. This has and will be included in turning around our economy in more than a decade. Helping to create many jobs, raising the minimum wage on 4 separate occasions, making major investments in our schools, hiring over 100 new teachers, and bringing the trades back in the schools. The Gallant government has done all this while also achieving a budget surplus of $67 million in the actual 2018 results, as confirmed by the Auditor General. We are working hard to create a fairer economy for all New Brunswickers. We will reduce emergency care wait times and will be raising the minimum wage to $14, all the while freezing NB power rates to help all New Brunswick families. We are working hard to create a fair economy for New Brunswickers, and will continue to do so. I'm proud to be part of the Gallant government and all of our accomplishments, and that is why I'm running as a Liberal candidate in the riding of St. Croix. And as far as my riding goes, my riding proper here in St. Croix, we are a diverse region full of beautiful communities. Many complement one another on the ways that we can continue to move forward. I've had many opportunities to work with schools. I've had many opportunities to work with community leaders, nonprofits, businesses, and together, if we collaborate, we'll continue to see results. And that's what it's all about. It's about getting better results for New Brunswickers and continuing the momentum forward. I encourage everyone to get out and vote this year. It's a very important year for our province and for our region, and I'm committed to continuing to work with everybody involved throughout all the communities that are represented in the beautiful St. Croix area. There's been many initiatives, there's been many projects that I've worked hand in hand with many of the stakeholders that we have in our beautiful area, and I am committed to continuing to see results with those same stakeholders and further groups and individuals that need help, because that's what it's all about. It's about working together and collaborating to get things done. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Donna Linton, and I'm running for MLA in the St. Croix region. I am the working class, and I want to represent you in the New Brunswick legislature. I'm hearing overwhelmingly that you want better government that reflect your values, values that support citizens towards a better future. I am running because the political current system is not even working. Those with the most acquire even more. Those with the least are losing ground. Many cannot afford rents and utilities, and as a result, they go without food, medicine, and transportation. The marginalized are struggling to meet their basic needs, and seniors must keep working at times to survive. Children are falling through the cracks in the education system, and many of them complete school without getting jobs in their field. Often employees work years at minimum wage in tough working conditions with complicated schedules, limited work hours, or at best, seasonal employment. We lack affordable housing for people on low incomes, seniors, and those with disabilities. We lack family doctors and also psychiatrists and mental health interventionists. I see your struggles firsthand. I see big industry getting tax breaks. I see our forests, waterways, and habitats in trouble. We are all seeing the effects of climate change. We need a better way. I offer you that better way with the vision of the New Brunswick Green Party, a party committed to live within our ecological and financial means, and to make a better community for all of us. Do you want your future to look like the past 35 years? That's when food banks appeared as short-term measures to bridge families waiting for unemployment insurance. Today, they are still here, and more people need to use them. Food banks are a growth industry that we don't need. There is a better future. I am proud to present it to you in the Green Party platform. It's a platform for the people. Elect me, and together we will end the handouts to large, profitable corporations. We will use that money to help small family businesses diversify our economy. Elect me, and we will protect New Brunswickers from climate change. We'll investigate why is flooding occurring and how can we best deal with it. And we will replace bridges with temporary crossings so that when they wash out, no one is left stranded. We believe that every person should have enough income to meet their needs with dignity. The Green Party will raise minimum wage and increase social assistance rates. A Green government will make public transportation a public service, including of Campobello through ferry through Campobello Island. A Green government will care about rural livelihoods, farming, fishing, and clam digging. That is the lifeblood of our rural communities. Food banks today often run out of food and money. The food they have is often secondhand and substandard. Food bank clients have needs that food banks cannot provide. Needs like affordable housing, enough money to live on, and healthy food for everyone. The Green Party will work to help everyone have the food, shelter, health, care, and education and support they need. People need help, and so does our environment. Our new Blue Bin recycling program is a fantastic start, but it is just a start. The Green Party will safeguard our farmland, our water, our forests, now and into the future. The Green Party plan will work for individuals, families, community, and the environment. Our leader, David Kuhn, has won respect across Canada and across party lines. Together, we will transform New Brunswick into a place where future generations will want to call home. I do not want to be MLA to serve myself. I have been serving the Volunteer Centre of Charlotte County and Food Bank for 25 years. Now I want to serve all of you. I stand here today because the people I have met and the stories I have heard. It's time for change. Let's make New Brunswick the first green province in Canada. It starts here at home. So with your support on September 24th, you can elect myself, Donna Linton, Green Party candidate for the area of St. Croix. Thank you.
Hello, citizens of St. Croix. My name is Joyce Wright, and I am your People's Alliance candidate as we're heading into this 2018 provincial election. I was born and raised right here in the riding, met and married my husband, Dwayne. We've been married for 30 years this year. We've had 6 children, and right now we have 6 grandchildren, and I am absolutely thrilled that as of right now, they're all living right here in this beautiful province we call home. My professional designations lie in the insurance and investment field. I am a licensed independent agent, but I put that on hold while I campaign in this election. So enough about me, let's talk about the province and the election. Never before in the history of New Brunswick has an election been so important. Never before has your vote been so critical. Never before has so much been at stake. You see, under continued decades of PC and Liberal mismanagement of our province, we are now at a point where we are over $14.5 billion in debt. Every year, we pay over $700 million just in interest on that debt. That's an amount that's larger than the budget for the entire Department of Transportation and Infrastructure for the whole province. It's obscene. We have seen over a decade of continued deficits, with more projected. And the answer to the mismanagement has always been to reach deeper into our pockets through increased taxation and increased fees. We have nothing left to give. Yet despite of all of this, we are still among the last in economic indicators. We are still among the last in education outcomes. We are still among the last in healthcare outcomes and in access to primary health care. We must learn from the past this election, but we cannot repeat it. We cannot afford to repeat it. They would like to spread the myth that a vote for any other party is a wasted vote. May I just assure you, citizens, that the only wasted vote is the vote that you cast out of fear for a party or a candidate that you don't really believe is the best option for New Brunswick? We have to get past this myth. We can't let them keep our vote captive. We must get past the point of voting for the lesser of 2 evils. We cannot afford to do that anymore. In this election, in this riding and across the province, you have the privilege of voting for a People's Alliance candidate to chart a better future for New Brunswick. You see, the issues in New Brunswick are systemic and they run deep and they cannot be fixed from within those 2 big parties. But you can vote for new voices to chart that new direction. You can vote for a better future, a future where the government believes the goal should be to leave as much money as possible in your pocket, because that's the best way to stimulate the economy. Things like eliminating the double property tax, eliminating annual vehicle registrations will all go a long way to helping in that goal. You can vote for a future where you, your children, your grandchildren will be able to stay and work, even if you're not bilingual, because we will jump into the 21st century and use technology like instant video links to help us provide that service in the language of choice all across this beautiful province. You deserve nothing less. We will not choose language over life and continue to leave ambulances sitting empty, putting your life at risk. You can vote for a future in which small and medium-sized businesses, the backbone of our economy, can not just survive but thrive, because they will no longer be competing with the cash handouts to multi-billion-dollar corporations. Most of all, you can vote for a future where your representative in Fredericton is not just allowed to, but is expected to represent you. Together, we can fix these systemic issues, because I come to you in this campaign the same way I will go to Fredericton for you, with no strings attached. My party has no strings attached. We owe nobody, and nobody owes us. As your MLA, I will serve you honorably, passionately, and with integrity. When I speak in Fredericton, it will be your voice I hear, because I will be speaking for you. Your issues are my issues. Your concerns are my concerns. I will be your voice. This election, together, we can be the change that New Brunswick so desperately needs. When you go to the polls on September 24th, make the right choice. We can do this, St. Croix, and I'm excited to be able to do it with you.